morning. Job 40. The Lord is challenging him again. This is January 31st. Now, prepare yourself like a man. I will question you, and you shall answer me. Would you indeed annul my judgment? Would you condemn me that you may be justified? Have you an arm like God? Or can you thunder with a voice like his? Then adorn yourself with majesty and splendor, and array yourself with glory and beauty. Disperse the rage of your wrath. Look on everyone who is proud, and humble him. Look on everyone who is proud, and bring him low. Tread down the wicked in their place. Hide them in their dust together. Bind their faces in hidden darkness. Then I will also confess to you that your own right hand can save you. Look now at the behemoth which I made along with you. He eats grass like an ox. See now, his strength is in his hips, and his power is in his stomach muscles. He moves his tail like a cedar. The sinews of his thighs are tightly knit. His bones are like beams of bronze, his ribs like bars of iron. He is the first of the ways of God. Only he who made him can bring near his sword. Surely the mountains yield food for him, and all the beasts of the field play there. He lies under the lotus trees in a covert of reeds and marsh. The lotus trees cover him with their shade. The willows by the brook surround him. Indeed, the river may rage. Yet he is not disturbed. He is confident, though the Jordan gushes into his mouth, though he takes it in his eyes, or one pierces his nose with a snare. The Lord's challenge continues. Job 41. Can you draw out Leviathan with a hook, or snare his tongue with a line which you lower? Can you put a reed through his nose, or pierce his jaw with a hook? Will he make many supplications to you? Will he speak softly to you? Will he make a covenant with you? Will you take him as a servant forever? Will you play with him as with a bird? Or will you leash him for your maidens? Will your companions make a banquet for him? Will they apportion him among the merchants? Can you fill his skin with harpoons, or his head with fishing spears? Lay your hand on him. Remember the battle. Never do it again. Indeed, any hope of overcoming him is false. Shall one not be overwhelmed at the sight of him? No one is so fierce that he would dare stir him up. Who then is able to stand against me? Who has preceded me that I should pay him? Everything under heaven is mine. I will not conceal his limbs, his mighty power, or his graceful proportions. Who can remove his outer coat? Who can approach him with a double bridle? Who can open the doors of his face? With his terrible teeth all around, his rows of scales are his pride. Shut up tightly as with a seal. One is so near another that no air can come between them. They are joined one to another. They stick together and cannot be parted. His sneezings flash forth light, and his eyes are like the eyelids of the morning. Out of his mouth go burning lights. Sparks of fire shoot out. Smoke goes out his nostrils, as from a boiling pot, and burning rushes. His breath kindles coals, and a flame goes out of his mouth. Strength dwells in his neck, and sorrow dances before him. The folds of his flesh are joined together. They are firm of him and cannot be moved. His heart is as hard as stone, even as hard as the lower millstone. When he raises himself up, the mighty are afraid. Because of his crashings, they are beside himself. Though the sword reaches him, it cannot avail, nor does spear, dart, or javelin. He regards iron as straw, and bronze as rotten wood. The arrow cannot make him flee. Sling stones become like a stubble to him. Darts are regarded as straw. He laughs at the threat of javelins. His undersides are like sharp pots herds. He spreads pointed marks in the mire. He makes the deep boil like a pot. He makes the sea like a pot of ointment. He leaves a shining wake behind him. One would think the deep had white hair. On earth there is nothing like him, which is made without fear. He beholds every high thing. He is king over all the children of pride. Then Job answered the Lord and said, I know that you can do everything, and that no purpose of yours can be withheld from you. You asked, who is this who hides counsel without knowledge? Therefore I have uttered what I did not understand, things too wonderful for me, which I did not know. Listen, please, and let me speak. You said, I will question you, and you shall answer me. I have heard of you by the hearing of the ear, but now my eyes see you. Therefore I abhor myself. I repent in dust and ashes. And so it was, after the Lord had spoken these words to Job, that the Lord said to Eliphaz the Temanite, My wrath is aroused against you and your 2 friends, for you have not spoken of me what is right, and my servant Job has. Now therefore, take for yourselves 7 bulls and 7 rams. Go to my servant Job, and offer up for yourself a burnt offering, and my servant Job shall pray for you. For I will accept him, lest I deal with you according to your folly, because you have not spoken of me what is right, and my servant Job has. So Eliphaz the Temanite, and Bildad the Shihite, and Zophar the Naamathite went and did as the Lord commanded them. For the Lord had accepted Job, and the Lord restored Job's losses when he prayed for his friends. Indeed, the Lord gave Job twice as much as he had before. Then all his brothers and all his sisters and all those who had been his acquaintances before him came to him and ate food with him in his house, and they consoled him and comforted him for all the adversity that the Lord had brought upon him. Each one gave him a piece of silver, and each a ring of gold. Now the Lord blessed the latter days of Job more than his beginning, for he had 14,000 sheep, 6,000 camels, 1,000 yoke of oxen, and 1,000 female donkeys. He also had 7 sons and 3 daughters, and he called the name of the first Jemimah, the name of the second Keziad, the name of the third Kenan-Hapuk. In all the land were found no women so beautiful as the daughters of Job, and their father gave them an inheritance among their brothers. After this, Job lived 140 years and saw his children and grandchildren for 4 generations. So Job died old and full of days. So, you might be asking yourself, what is this Leviathan, the behemoth that we hear of in 41:1? The animal described in this section may be a crocodile. Sometimes, interpreters sometimes suggest it's a mythical creature representing forces overcome by God's power in creation. However, the focus of this section is on the fact that whatever powerful creature is being referred to, it is a part of God's creation and governed by his power. So good. You'll see from time to time that I'll go between a couple of my study Bibles, back and forth, referencing this one or that one. And so I'm going to look to see, that was what my ESV said. Let's see what the NIV study Bible said about this left thing, because I know Victor is going to want to know, right, buddy? So, I remember looking at this a while ago. Okay. In the literature of the era, Leviathan was used to symbolize evil political powers. The non-mythical Leviathan was probably the crocodile. But, the verses continue the description of the Leviathan that nothing in the description of this animal requires it to refer to a dinosaur. The language here used depicts a great animal that feared no one and in Job's day could not be caught or tamed. In the oceans, the whale fits the description. In freshwater, the crocodile fits the description. Back then, the mix of literal and metaphorical descriptions is typical of ancient poetry. Did the animal really breathe fire? No. Language about breathing light, sunlight, fire, and smoke was commonly used in ancient literature to indicate that someone or something was powerful and unstoppable, capable of doing damage it aroused. Whales and crocodiles in their respective habitats in ancient times certainly fit in that category. Similar language is used of God in the Old Testament, not because God is like an animal, but because he is the ultimate possessor of effective, unstoppable power. There's one more reference. In Job 3:8, they also reference this animal. So let's go to it real quick. 3:8. I think. So in Job 3:8, may those who curse the day curse that day, those who are ready to rouse Leviathan. Right? That's Job. Job speaks this. So God brings it back up, 37 chapters later. 38 chapters later, excuse me. But in 3:8, he references it. And the note on that is the word Leviathan referred to any great water creature, such as a whale or a giant squid. But the word was also used in ancient myths to refer to a great sea monster that was believed to live in the oceans. Some ancient sorcerers claimed they could make Leviathan come up out of the sea and blot out the sun temporarily, causing a day to be cursed. Here, Job is referring poetically to their claim to be able to rouse Leviathan. So, kind of interesting. Love you guys.